Well, a very good Wednesday evening to all of viewers here on TV4, our TV, and welcome to another edition of Sports Wednesday, the day when we take a look at sports in Trinidad and Tobago, all our sporting disciplines, and we examine the state of play in that discipline here in Trinidad and Tobago, talk about the issues and, some of the challenges that sportsmen and women face here in Trinidad and Tobago in their various disciplines. Today we want to look at mixed martial arts in Trinidad and Tobago, and I have some gentlemen here who are exponents of their craft and their art. And, for the uninitiated like myself, when we think of martial arts, we think of a lot of kick-up and so on. One friend told me that she was in a martial arts class once, and when the instructor said that the next week we'll be breaking bricks with our heads, that was the end of the class for her. But I'm sure these gentlemen will, place all those myths to rest this evening. So without hesitation, let me introduce my guests from my left. And let me welcome Sensei Rondell Benjamin. He's a martial artist, of course, and representative of the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu School in Trinidad and Tobago. Next to him, we have Sensei Adam Chinleong, the owner of the Torokan Dojo. He is also the co-owner of the Caribbean Ultimate Fist Fighting, and that acronym is CUF. Now, I thought CUF would, more relate to boxing, but we'll see how that goes. He's one of only a very few 8th degree black belts in the Western Hemisphere.
Sorry.
WKC.
Let me stop you there. That's my father.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before anybody takes that the wrong way.
All right.
Yes, I'm a 5th degree black belt. He's an
5th.
Yes, he's an 8th degree black belt.
Great. And then we have Sensei Kerry Grant. He is the owner and head instructor of the Southern Warriors Mixed Martial Arts Combat Sport Club. And he was also a medalist at the Commonwealth Games and the President's Cup in London. And a little bit later on in the program, we'll be joined by Sion Adder, who is himself a martial artist, and he's winner in his weight category in the recently held Pan American Sambo Federation. Actually, he won 2 gold medals, bantamweight champion at the Caribbean Fight League Championships. So that's our lineup for this evening. I know we'll have a lot to talk about, so let's get right to it, gentlemen. Welcome to the program. Welcome to Sports Wednesday. Nice to have you here on TV4. And maybe we can start, each of you telling our viewers a little bit about how you got involved in martial arts. Maybe I start with you, Rondon.
Sure. The first word I ever said was fighting.
I saw that scripted here.
My parents had a very early choice.
Yeah.
Help channel this energy, or this child will destroy himself. Unfortunately for me, I've been blessed with finding some of the best teachers in the world, and just being coached and developed into the man that I am today. Great.
Adam?
Well, I had the privilege of growing up in a family of martial artists, a dynasty, and it was almost determined before for me that I had to get into martial arts. My father and my uncles were the pioneers for Shotokan karate in Trinidad and Tobago, and then one thing led to the next. And when I went to university, I studied Aikido when I was there. Came back here. My brother-in-law then turned to me and said, what do you think about Krav Maga? I started to do a little bit of research on it, and then I eventually got into that. And when I was at the Krav Maga program, I met a very good friend of mine who is still a very good friend of mine today, and he's my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach, Brandon Quick, and that's where I started to learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu from. So
I guess he had quick hands and feet.
Well, if you want to say that.
Kerry?
Yes, well, it all started for me when I was about age 5 or 6, seeing my very first Bruce Lee movie, Game of Death, and it took off from there. At age 13, I started doing judo with Sensei David Springer. He's an excellent judo instructor in South, along with his cousin, Crooks, I think was his name. And from there, it just blossomed. I went to the U.S., and while being there, I was exposed to many different arts and cultures within the martial arts arena. I was able to attend a university there called Jakarta's University of Martial Arts, which is based in Washington, D.C. And being open-minded as I am, I attended majority of classes with that pertain to all different styles. And it just grew from there. Came back to Trinidad and Tobago, and it took off from there. Just continue with it. Kickboxing. At this very age, I'm still learning. I mean, just 5 years ago, Trinidad and Tobago, we knew nothing of Sambo, and I started learning Sambo, and we got Sambo involved here in the Caribbean and in TNT, and we have evolved. We are doing extremely well in Sambo, and recently I started doing Taekwondo. So, you know, life is just about learning. I love martial arts, and I love the way of the martial artist.
Great. I'll ask you a little bit later in the program about Taekwondo. I'm very interested in what's the state of play with Taekwondo. I'm sure we'll discuss that in a subsequent program. But you all talk about, Adam and Kerry, I'm not sure, Rondell, if that has been your experience, about, developing the art when you went abroad. Was that necessary to do that? Were you exposed to more disciplines, maybe the science of martial arts by living abroad?
Well, to answer that question, I would say it's culture. The culture, the Americans, first of all, they really take sport, they break it down to a science. And it's very serious for them, regardless of sport, and the sportsmen and sportswomen over there, they are very passionate about what they do. And being involved with them, you learn, and you tether yourself with them, and you learn, and you gain those values and those concepts. And coming back home, after being exposed to that, you see the gaps, all right? And I was very fortunate to meet individuals like Rondell and Adam, and there are a few more, that are trying to close the gap. And I believe Trinidad and Tobago, we are a blessed nation, and we are diverse in many ways, and Rondell will agree because he preaches it all the time.
Yes.
We are such a culture of people that we can adapt very easily and quickly. I mean, you can find a Trinidadian, I believe, in every continent, every country.
Oh, yes.
And we can adapt. That's for sure. And because of this diverse nature, blessing that we have, we are able to catch up easily once taught properly and taught the right thing.
Okay. And what's the right thing? I mean, Rondell, you want to pick up on that?
Well, I have a different experience. I traveled. I was exposed to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So the access I had to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu was from Brazilians and Venezuelans. And I did capoeira, which is an Afro-Brazilian martial art. And it all directed me back to seeking out in Trinidad the martial artists who were always here that we've always brushed aside. We traveled so well that over the centuries, we've always produced world-class athletes like Thunderbolt Williams, Rhea Pullen, who are world-class catch-can wrestlers. We have world-class boxers that were born and grown here. One of Claude Noel's boxing instructors is right now doing some boxing with some stuff that I'm involved in. And so my experience was traveling, seeing what they have, but also valuing what we always had here and trying to bring what we have to the forefront.
Yes.
So that's been my experience, and I really believe that the gentlemen here, and there's a few other cutting-edge organizations in Trinidad, in the next 5 to 10 years, we will produce athletes the world has never seen, with a style the world has never seen, because we're unique,
Yes. Gentlemen, what's the state of play as it relates to martial arts in Trinidad and Tobago right now? And anybody can feel free to take it up,
State of play, that's a bit of a difficult question to answer. Unfortunately for us and our culture, I mean, we have such beautiful people in this country, but for some reason, politics always takes us back a couple steps, and it happens in martial arts as well too. People allow politics or status to get the better of them. To go back to the last question you were talking about with regards to going away and being exposed to international people. I mean, yes, when I was in Canada, I had the opportunity to be exposed to Japanese instructors, which I wasn't looking for. It just happened. And it really wasn't anything different to what I've experienced down here. But what I did find is that nobody really bother too much about who said, she said, this said, and it was more about just going and enjoying it. And that's what I picked up from away. I picked up just what I had here with my father and my uncles from a young boy growing up. I didn't know about the other schools per se, and I just loved going to karate, and I just loved going there and doing my katas and sparring with my friends, and I found that
it was
in
just
Canada.
pure enjoyment.
It was just pure enjoyment, and you know what? I think if we can get back to that state in Trinidad, where people are doing it for, yes, they have a purpose of either learning self-defense or wanting to get into the sport of it to keep fit, but to just also enjoy it and forget about what everybody else says, man. You know, everybody. You know, Rondell is a different instructor to me. Kerry's a different instructor to me, but I will never tell somebody, no, you must go by this person. No. You as an individual need to feel the connection between yourself and your instructor, your gym, and wherever that is where you're going to play. Whether it's capoeira, whether it's sambo, whether it's karate, it really doesn't matter. No style is better than the other.
Yes.
The individual makes the fighter or the style.
Yes.
Not the other way around.
Yeah. Now, each of you gentlemen, you are responsible for a dojo, a club, and so on. How important is that for you as individuals, and you know, and for the disciplines as well that you represent?
Well,
why should people get involved in martial arts, for example?
For me, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is a way of life. It's a lifestyle. It's how I eat, because there's a specific way we eat. It's how we dress. It's how we interact. We develop attributes and characteristics that help people live, right? Our objective isn't to compete in a sporting arena first.
Yes.
Our objective is to develop citizens, to have nationals who are healthy, happy, and can protect themselves. As part of the expression of our sport, we compete. We have fun, because the Gracies created the UFC or MMA or Vale Todo from their willingness to express their art and share it with others. And so, for me, the focus is very simple. I want people to have a lot of fun, which is what Adam said.
Yes.
I want people to get healthy. I want people to be happy. And I want people to be able to protect themselves. Because if we live in a society where everybody can protect themselves, where each target now is a little harder, then we don't leave space for the criminal elements to inject that fear in us that allows them to thrive. So for me, that's where, I kind of...
Well, I think I'll have to start from tomorrow. but tell me, in terms of the infrastructure and so on, Adam, you talk about the politics getting in the way. I don't think that's party politics you're talking about, because they say that we are in silly season at the moment, but I don't know about that. But, when you say politics and so on, what do you mean? Is it administratively? What is it in terms of that is hindering?
In the age of quick information from the internet and so on, a lot of people extend themselves to the general public as a specific person, when in essence they may not be, which is fine. When I was a young man as well, to a point, maybe I did that as well. And it's politics is just something that happens in life on the whole, and I think it's just a matter of being able to coexist and everybody understand that, it's for one general purpose. It is not to become the best.
Yes.
Per se. I mean, from a competitive point of view, you would love to be the best, but it's for one general purpose. My belief, to the previous question, is that martial arts is the third best thing that you can give to your children in their life. Meaning, the first is love, second is an education, and everything else, extracurricular activities, to me, comes second.
Yes.
The martial arts, right? Martial arts should, in my view, come first after, because of the fact that one, as Rhonda said, is a disciplined way of life. It's a lot of exercise, so you become very healthy. And you also learn to take care of yourself if need be later on in life. Not necessarily to compete and to win medals, but just so that if you have a family and you're a young man and that's something that young men should always try to develop, and women as well too. But
Great, great. Well, we have to go to a short break, and when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the infrastructure that's in place. But we just want to remind our viewers that we are streaming live at www.facebook.com/our TV4 and gisltd.tt/TV4, Twitter at # Sports Wednesday, and our phone numbers, and we'll be taking your calls as we usually do on the program after the break at 675-8747 and 675-8749. We're talking about mixed martial arts on this edition of Sports Wednesday. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
So watch out for Cleon's guillotine. Cleon is actually known for his guillotine. Even though he's a taekwondo or kickboxing champion of Jamaica, he's actually known for his guillotine. So he needs to watch out for that.
Because Cleon, look at nice leg kick. Nice.
Tosses it right back.
Cleon also the taekwondo champion of Jamaica for quite some years.
Right,
Nice punches.
The guillotine.
In mid-air.
Body triangle. That's tight. Is he going to get it? Is he going to get it?
Pop out.
Oh, there's the tap.
There's the tap. Wow, what a fight from Cleon Bardowell.
Cleon, the one and only.
Right now,
yes, some action there, martial arts, and we want to thank CUF Caribbean Ultimate Fist Fighting. And, of course, Adam is guesting with us here. Adam and Sensei Rondell Benjamin, as well as Sensei Kerry Grant. Gentlemen, before we went to the break, we were talking a little bit. We wanted to look at the infrastructure. Now, we could go and cut a coconut bat somewhere and play cricket. You could, I know a long time they used to fill some tins with concrete, and you have some rough weights in your backyard and so on. So many, you could also improvise for football and so on. What are the bare bones you need for martial arts in this country? And is the infrastructure in place for development of the sport?
I would have to say no. Infrastructure is not in place. But however, due to the growing family of martial artists, and I believe now we are starting to gain a little more respect for each other, we are going out there and on our own and putting things in place for each other. I mean, we would have cross-training at different gyms. Turukan, Adam, he opened up his gym. Guys will go across there and train, same as Rondell, same as me. And there are other gyms that we can call, that will do the same as well. Now, before you didn't have that. In terms of public infrastructure, I would say no, there isn't anything. And we are right now on a drive to change that. I personally, definitely in the Southland, because we are based in South, we are definitely looking for infrastructure where we can use this place not just to train martial artists or train individuals to say fight or become fighters, but use it as a facility to groom young men and women, to close that gap, as I always say, saying that boys transitioning to manhood and young girls into womanhood, they need something to help connect that.
Yes.
And that is missing today in society. Yes. And I'm using my dojo, for instance, not just to say train athletes, but to use it as a facility or an area where young people can come and learn certain forms of discipline, life skills also, which will help prepare them for future and help prepare them to take Trinidad and Tobago to the next stage of development. Because we are there. I always tell people, I don't just like to say I'm a martial artist. I want to live the way of a martial artist. And we need to get back to that essence, the true essence of what a martial artist is.
Yes. Rondell, has that been your experience?
Well, there's two things. Fortunately for us, what we do requires bare bones infrastructure.
Okay.
Generally, if we have
bare bones is what?
We have a space and mats.
Okay.
and we can do 90% of what we need to do to get our athletes there. There's other things we would like to be able to access, like any elite athlete program, weights, massage, therapy, etc. But fortunately for us, we are one of the sports that we don't require much. And the sad thing is, because you did mention politics, we have not had administrations in the past that recognize the asset we could be and help us perform this key task of intervening in the lives of young people in a way that a lot of other sporting disciplines can't, because we are based on discipline.
And why has that recognition not been there? Because I know years ago you had a Trinidad and Tobago Karate Federation. I'm not sure if it's still, existing. And I wanted to ask you about that because you practice various different disciplines, right? They're all martial arts, but different disciplines. Is there a body that is representative of all the different styles in the country, and one that can make representation to the powers that be the Ministry of Sport, the Sport Company of Trinidad and Tobago, for the kind of infrastructure and support that you need?
Let me help, because I don't want to put these two gentlemen in a difficult position.
Please
I will jump on this grenade.
Yeah, okay.
There's too many martial artists on the island who are greedy, selfish, and continually fight for the funding in a way that is unethical.
Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
You did say fight.
Yeah, it's fight. They're fighting for funding in a way that's unethical.
Which is also an oxymoron, because the martial arts is supposed to lead you away from that.
Yeah, because you were talking about the discipline that you learn, that youngsters or anybody involved in it.
And that's the truth. We're just trying to form a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation. And the sole purpose of forming this federation is to avoid the pitfalls of the past.
Yes.
But every single martial arts, in my humble opinion, federation in the last 20 years have had leadership that wasn't from martial artists for martial artists. I believe Kerry is an organization that's trying to change that. I have my issues even with that organization. But one of the things we have to do moving forward is people need to start standing up with integrity and saying, I expect more from you. You can do better because we need you to do better. So that's my position on it.
Yeah. Which is also a very difficult thing to do because of the fact that martial artists, or martial arts on the whole, as we were discussing when we were in the waiting room, it teaches people a certain amount of you empower people with a certain amount of mental and physical strength, which can also lead down the wrong path if not guided properly, which it has done to a lot of martial artists in Trinidad, and I think that's why we can't connect as a group. You know what I mean? Yes. And it's, you know what, as individuals, we all have our strengths, we all have our weaknesses. I think if we can come together, right, and try and put aside the politics. As Rondell said, for a very small nation like Trinidad and Tobago, I believe that we have some of the best talent in the world.
We do. Yes.
Right? We have Sion Ada, who is from Southern Warriors, featherweight? No. Flyweight fighter. And from what I understood, I've never seen him fight other than in Sambo, but from what I've seen and from what I've heard, he's fantastic. He has all his medals there, you know what I mean, representing the country. We have other guys. We have Dwayne Hines flying the flag really high from Rough House in MMA and cage fighting at 1FC. We have other guys. Josh Walkins. Yeah. We have Jivan and Michael Youssef. We have a real good core base of guys.
Yes.
Trini's tough, but Trini's real tough.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And I might add, representing very well on the international scene, as you know, we see with Sion and his medals. So if that is the case, we have all this talent, this innate talent here in the country. You talk about the politics and so on, but to my mind, what is preventing us? What is preventing the authorities, if we're having all this success? Yes, what is preventing the authorities from saying, look, guys, let's sit, let's talk, let's negotiate, let's come together, let's try to get this sport, in a cohesive unit. Yes, there are different styles and so on, but let's get in a cohesive. What is preventing that?
It goes back to exactly what Rondell was saying before. there are so many different styles, so many different organizations.
Yes.
And for the government, now this is the government of Trinidad and Tobago, if they're going to invest in anything, they want to see quality, they want to see management, they want to see transparency, all right? And when you have different fractions only running to this one and saying, is he say, she say, and that type of mentality, how are they now going to trust or entrust, you understand,
Yes.
their finances
and their
resources.
Yes.
And so this is what is plaguing martial arts today in Trinidad and Tobago. I made a valiant attempt on the 1st of March to throw a grappling tournament, which was extremely successful. And in planning that tournament, I decided I am going to invite every martial arts school on the island, including Tobago.
Yes.
That includes karate. I didn't care what style of martial art you competed in or you practice. I opened my doors to everyone. That was a beautiful day, the 1st of March.
This year?
This year.
Okay.
It was beautiful. We had from what all reports, actually, I do have it, 241 athletes competed one day in that event. You know, it was well put together, well planned. Rondell was there as one of the referees. Actually, I think he was the chief judge at the referee. We had Adam passing through. We had a lot of athletes there. And I was surprised because I was actually sitting next to one of the judges at the judges' table, and I was told, Kerry, you need to come to the front gate. And when I got there, we had athletes from Grenada that saw it on Facebook and came just to compete.
Yes, the blessings of technology, eh?
They just showed up on my door. They came and they competed. We had athletes from Jamaica as well. It was really good. So that was my attempt to bring everyone together and show people, listen, this is what martial arts is about. You know, and the kids had a great time. And in doing so, you know, there will always be those that will try to tarnish something. And as beautiful as the day was, you would still hear certain ones criticizing little things and running back with little things. What for? This wasn't the purpose. Why can't you not see the big picture here?
Yes.
It was about us coming together. And this is what we need to get back to. This is what I'm saying about the essence of martial arts.
Yes.
We need to get back there.
Now, having said that, how are your competitions, your clubs, your dojos funded, you know, to get things like the basics, you know, for the sport, you know, to conduct sessions and so on? How do you fund your various clubs?
Personal finances. Sometimes we go on sponsorship drives. Sometimes we do our own fundraisers, you know, for the people who have a little more, you know, they're able to put together the schools a little better. Obviously, when you're trying to build a business out of it, you do tend to turn or try to turn a little bit of profit because you need to live as well too, you know. But most of us we're just, you know, trotting along as we go, and we try our best, you know, in every way, you know.
I would have to say, man, I love the South people because they support.
Yes.
Especially in Marble. That's correct. That's correct. You know, and once I let them know, listen, we have a tournament to go to, we have something to compete at, we have to go there. They come out, and you would be surprised as the smaller businesses that come together and they give the support, you know, and they get us out there to portray ourselves, to represent our country, you know, and this is something the government really needs to look at besides the fact of all the in-house fighting within the martial arts group. But look at the dojos and the institutes that really warrant and really produce.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Is the federation still very active? Is there a federation that gets a
federations.
subvention?
Several federations,
that gets a subvention from the government, from the Ministry of Sport or the sports company?
Yes, and you know, maybe this might be a bad analogy to use, but think of martial arts on the whole like religion to a point.
Yes.
Right? You have your Christian community, you have your Muslim community, your Hindu community, Buddhism. Everybody is supposed to be striving for peace, right?
Yes.
But yet, for some reason,
There's war.
there's war. Okay, and unfortunately, that's the only way that I can think of how to describe it for you. However, there's certain individuals, like the three of us. Let's say the three of us, we, every time we see each other, we have good conversations. We
like you're having
we have to push the sport. Rondell helps me with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Kerry is helping Cuff by bringing his fighters into Cuff as well too. And we tend to help each other, whether he is Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and I'm Be Quick Jiu-Jitsu. That doesn't matter at this point in time, for us, we're just trying to get better, and we're trying to be as best of a martial artist as we could be,
But does this type of conversation, happen with other dojos, other heads of dojos, and so on?
Definitely, there's several movements. We, as a community, recognize that we're not doing the proper service to our participants by being disorganized.
Yes.
There's several attempts. We're trying to pull together Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation. We've tried to pull together Sambo, combat sport, wrestling, Olympic wrestling. I believe that there's a movement to pull together the kickboxers, the karate organizations, and less fractionalized. They're starting to all recognize, especially with media, that there's three things we can't do anymore. We can't lie, we can't fake it, and we can't give excuses. And so, very shortly, I think that the Ministry of Sport will recognize in at-risk communities, we can serve a lot better than a lot of other styles of sport.
Yes.
And they have. I believe there's a community group called Rudan, which is citizen security. They also do Gracie Jiu-Jitsu in Shogunas and Enterprise. They're doing amazing work among the youth, and they are getting sponsorship. So there's sponsorship not only from the Ministry of Sport, but Ministry of Culture and Youth Affairs also engages different groups.
Yes.
And we are really starting to move forward because we know our mandate has always been to take care of the population. So we're going to get it done.
Yeah, but there's also accountability as well to that must be
yes, you must have accountability.
Even for funding and so on, you have to be able to give good administrative, financial reports, things like that, of which you need people who are educated and willing to do that for the better of the sport, the better of the people of the community. I don't want to dig up too much worms, but there are people who may get funding and don't provide reports.
Yeah. So there's no accountability, no transparency. Now, I know you all are invited to international competitions. We just had, we have all these medals here to show for it, and I'm sure there are other athletes and so on in the sport who are doing very well. When you have to prepare, to send athletes abroad, because it's one thing to, as they say, probably scramble to run the club, run the dojo and so on, but when you have to prepare athletes for international competition and to send them abroad and that kind of thing, you're talking about, upping the ante a bit. How do you all do it? How do you manage?
Well, I'll give you one example, because, Kerry has definitely more hands-on experience, but we have our highest flagged athlete, which is Dwayne Hines, who is the only guy I know who has an international contract with a major international organization that could not go for a fight this week because he had no funding for a plane ticket. Right? We are talking about somebody who has achieved...
That must demotivate an athlete.
I've seen this guy train for the last 4 months for this fight and can't go to the fight. How do people involved in Rough House and that organization, how do we look at Dwayne in his eyes as people who are supposed to support Dwayne and say, as a group, as a community, Dwayne boy, hard luck. Next time, train for 4 more months and maybe we'll scrape together some funding. That's where right now I have had it with the way we're proceeding. We have to find a way to do better. But Kerry.
Preparing for international fight is always a tedious process.
Yes.
And it's very precise. We go into a plan, we go into a mode, a way of thinking when we are preparing for opposition of what we would consider. Most of all, I will tell you straight off the bat, we don't just take petty fights. All right? I rather my guys compete against tough opponents. All right? This is the only way they will build themselves, and it will push them a little more. All right. Saying that, when we go into training, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to take into factor. We meals, nutrition is a major factor in preparing for a fight. Rest. You know, people think they would see us training probably like 5-6 hours for the day. And boy, you're overtraining, but they don't know after that what takes place. Yeah. Massage, eat, and sleep. You know, these guys go through a lot of mental changes leading up to a fight. And it's...
that's what I want to come and talk to, treat with when we come back from this break. We're discussing mixed martial arts, the state of play. What's the state of play, mixed martial arts here in Trinidad and Tobago with our guests in studio. Remember, you can call us at 675-8747, 675-8749 if you want to get in on the discussion. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Sports Wednesday here. We're looking at mixed martial arts on this edition of the program with our guests in studio. And we're joined by Sion Adha. As I mentioned at the beginning or the start of the program, he's a martial artist as well, a recent winner in his weight category in the recently held Pan American Sambo Federation, 2 gold medals. So he has some hardware here showing off. And of course, is the bantamweight champion at the Caribbean Fight League Championships. So Sion, welcome. Thanks for joining us on set. And I'm sure our cameras will zoom in on that. Yes, there you go. Champion, tell us a little bit about the feeling, winning in your weight class. What's it like?
The feeling is it's a phenomenal feeling because you put in all the work, blood, sweat, and tears into training, and to win something like this, the outcome is nothing but a better feeling.
Oh, as I asked these gentlemen at the start, how did you get involved in the sport?
Well, I got involved in the sport more or less. I had now finished school, and I was more or less looking for something to do. So I ran into Kerry and introduced me to the class, and pretty much after that time, more or less, just was like a sponge and just absorbing everything quick. And I just fell in love with the sport right after that.
Now, what kind of mental preparation as a young person? What kind of mental preparation do you go through to prepare for example, these tournaments? Does it get in the way of, let's say, school? I'm not sure if you're at school still or you're studying or working. How do you make time for, training and getting yourself mentally and physically prepared for competition?
Well, basically, it's just a matter of balancing what you do and training. So you just have to, what I normally do, I have a schedule of what I'm supposed to do. Like, okay, I get up in the morning and go run so by so miles, and then go to work, come back, and go to training again. So
yes. I
just balance off everything simply by making a schedule. So don't really bother me that much.
Okay. Were you surprised by your success in the latest competition? Yes.
Well, we put in a real hard training camp, so I was more or less very confident in my skills in the tournament. So I just knew that the outcome would be, because I don't ever go into a fight thinking I would lose, or I always go in a fight thinking, I always see myself winning at the end of a fight.
Yes.
And that is normally be the outcome.
All right, good. And gentlemen, I see you all smiling. You must feel encouraged when you see young athletes like Sion. Really taken to the sport, if, only by chance, but, making a success of it. And really it must give you some encouragement, some kind of satisfaction that what you are doing is really bearing fruit.
Well, to me, it's very commendable on his instructor's point of view, because to me, from everything that I've heard about Sion, I don't know him personally, but for everything I've heard about Sion, even from our big guy, Dwayne Hines, Sion embodies everything that a martial artist should be. Yeah. He's very humble and gracious in his wins and his defeats, if he's had ever any, but he's also a go-getter. So, you put the biggest guy in front of him and he's going to go at it, you know what I mean? And one of the things, sitting down here, hearing him talk and his demeanor and so on, fighters, especially MMA fighters, by nature, are supposed to be relatively selfish people. And the reason why I'm saying that is not that open your mind a little bit and think about it. When they get into a cage to fight somebody, they know what they have to do. They know they have to hurt this person. They know they have to win this fight to a point, submit them or whatever the case may be. They can't have too much emotions involved at that point in time. But sitting down next to a very dangerous man here, I mean, he seems very humble and very quiet. Very.
I wouldn't want to tackle him at all. Yes.
So yeah.
As Sion's coach, I started Sion off in MMA.
Yeah.
And very quickly, actually, the very first day I met Sion, I told him, you're going to be a champion one day. And you're going to go on to great things. It was just his approach. It was just the way, and I was telling someone this earlier on, it was just the way he approached me. I didn't go looking for him. He approached me on the street.
Yes.
And since then to now, Sion has displayed exemplary commitment. I'm talking about 11, 12 o'clock in the night. Sion will be at my home after training hours, still working out. He and a few others, they will come over the days when we have our rest days, and he will be there still working, putting in that extra time. He would call me and say, Sensei, what do you think I should do now? What do you think about this? And I always used to tell them, I will teach you something, but at the end of the day, it's up for you to make it your own.
Yes.
And he does that. And he leads by example in doing that. There are some moves we say, that's a Sion. That's a Sion, that's a Sion. So there are moves that we can even title it Sion. Yes. And he makes things his own, and he takes what will appear to be difficult and simplify it. And having that skill, having that gift is what makes him such an extraordinary athlete, sorry.
Yes.
And I thank God for him, and I thank God for all my athletes.
Yes.
Because of them, they challenge me to be better and challenges me to come up with more creative styles and ways of which to dominate. So hats off to him and all the other Southern Warriors out there.
Yeah.
And here's a shameless plug. You can get to see him live at Cuff 09, August 15th.
Great. Where will it be?
Either at the Jean Bear Complex or Woodbrook Youth Facility.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's in Port of Spain, but you want to come and see him live, you want to come and see what this relatively humble demeanor can unleash in terms of ferocity. Yeah, sure. Come and see it, man.
Yes.
Come and see it, and watch how he is gracious in his wins as well, too.
Yes. Sensei Ronald Benjamin, I mean, how has this been your experience among the youth that you have worked with?
I'm lucky. I was the head coach for the national Sambo team. Okay. And I had the opportunity to work with Sion for maybe 6 months, I think.
Yeah.
And I always quietly looked at Keon and Kerry and I said, dude, there's 4 schools in Trinidad that are going to produce champions. Southern Academy, Torokan, Rough House, and Tiger System. And I felt at that moment, pound for pound, if there was one athlete that I could bank on in terms of having the heart, the discipline, I always said it was Sion. There are other guys who may be faster, smarter, stronger, but they didn't have what he had, which is the hardest thing no coach could give. It was heart.
Yeah,
that's correct.
The only other guy I've seen like that is Erlan from Warren Guild School. But I mean, those guys have a massive heart. And when you look at him in his dojo with his the people who train with him, they
Yeah.
all look up to him.
Yes.
And so now you're creating a culture where real, genuine change of personality could happen.
It could
And so
happen, yes.
that's for me the big deal, because mixed martial arts isn't a martial art.
Great.
It's an event. It's a space where we as martial artists get to test ourselves.
Great.
And that's why CUF is so important to us.
Yes.
It's a space where we have the ability to meet national and international athletes
That's correct.
that could take us to the next level.
Okay. We have a caller on the line. Good evening to you, caller.
Good
Thanks for
evening.
holding.
Yes, thank you. And I must say it's a pleasure seeing four such gentlemen representing Trinidad and Tobago and the population. I am from Marbella, and I'm from Mayaro the band, actually, the leader of Mayaro the band. And I've had the pleasure to work with Terry Grant on the March 1st tournament he had, and what a perfect day that was, as he said. It was amazing. All the teams, the whole aura of the place. So keep it up, people. Keep it up, guys, and be that example and be a responsibility to the nation. Thank you.
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for your call.
Thank you.
And certainly, a caller there already inspired by the work that you're doing. Sion, where do you see yourself in the sport? I mean, a couple of years down the road, you're pretty young and so on, and you have this success already under your belt. Certainly, must be a great motivator for you. Where do you see yourself advancing in the martial arts?
Well, I see myself reaching to the highest point of this sport, to the pinnacle where I could, the highest point I could reach.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So just by taking it step by step and just going on.
Gentlemen, with all that we've said and all of the challenges and so on that we have identified that you are facing, and I really do hope when we have conversations like this that those who can are in the decision-making positions, when they see discussions like this and conversations like this taking place, that they realize, look, these guys are really serious and does something. That's my hope in having programs like this, right? With all of the challenges that you have identified, would you say that the sport has grown exponentially over the years? And I'm sure it's a yes coming to that question, judging by your encouraging smiles. But tell me how it is that the sport has grown and continues to grow, because if it's having all these benefits, keeping people healthy, the discipline that you learn, of course, the added benefit, which is, one of the greatest benefits to my mind, and, the one of self-defense and so on. Yeah, how you certainly must be encouraged by the numbers that you are seeing in your clubs and coming to you.
I think we suspect that other than football, martial arts collectively is the second biggest sport in Trinidad. The problem is we are not seen as one block. We're seen as different styles. Mm-hmm. But if you add everything from karate to Tai Chi to Taekwondo to boxing and wrestling, and you group it, I think we are maybe, even if not the biggest. We have all these women coming into the sport now. Yeah. Cherise, who I'm sure Kerry will talk about. There's Crystal. Yes.
Well, I had a note here, Cherise, women in the martial arts, and I was wondering, well, it's not a call-up, but what is pertained to? So maybe as you gave it a cue,
Cherise Sobero, right now, she's ranked at the amateur level in mixed martial arts as the #1 female mixed martial artist. She's undefeated. Cherise Sobero, as you can see on the screen now there, Cherise is an excellent ambassador to what a female martial artist should be. I'm sorry she isn't here today, but just her charisma, the way how she would carry about herself, the way how she works on the mat, and she displays herself while she's competing. She's a wonder to look at, and we expect a lot of great things from Cherise. One of her personal training partners is Sion. She work all the time. They're inseparable on the mat in the dojo. Always constantly working, and Cherise trains like a monster, Great.
Well, it seems the time has gone by so quickly. We have to wrap it up. But gentlemen, I'll give you about 30 seconds each to make your closing comments on, and just talk about what you would like to see, where the sport, how you like to see the sport progress and develop in Trinidad and Tobago. 30 seconds.
Come train with us. We'll welcome you. I'm Defense Lab Trinidad and Tobago, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Trinidad and Tobago. Let's have fun, let's be safe, and let's really take what we do to the next level.
Yeah, Torakan Dojo is a family affair, you know. Come by, we would love to have you. And, you know, you don't need to be a fighter in order to train like a fighter. You know, you're always welcome to just come and hang around and be part of it. And if it is that you want to take it to the next level, we can do that as well.
Great.
Southern Warriors doors are always open for anyone to train. So just come and be a part of the family. It's just one big family. That's what we are.
And we won't charge you for that commercial. Okay.
Southern Warriors of Mixed Martial Arts, we are always there for you, especially those in South. My heart is there. I'm Trinidadian, yes, of course, for everyone, but my heart is in South. So for all of you in South, we have relocated to 165 Southern Main Road, Marabella, obliquely opposite the Marabella Police Station. Look out for us.
Great, great. Well, thank you, gentlemen, and really it has been a pleasure talking to you. I'm not sure that we have ventilated all of the issues, and maybe we can have a subsequent program where we can do, you know, develop some of those issues. But I really hope that you get some kind of action on some of the things that we've spoken about on the program. But let me thank you, of course, Rondell Benjamin, Adam Chin Leong, Kerry Grant, and of course Sion Adha. Congratulations again, Sion, and of course all the best to you. All the best to all your clubs and dojos and so on.
Thank you.
Great success, and of course please let us know of your upcoming events. We'll be all too happy to talk about it on the program and, you know, really share your success as you move forward. I want to thank you for guesting with me. I've enjoyed it tremendously, and I promise you, I'm not sure if I'll break anything with my head or but I will try to see if I can get somewhere near to a club. Okay, so yeah, thank you very much, and of course we want to thank our viewing audience for joining us here for this edition of Sport Wednesday. Of course, the other dynamic duo is coming up in a few minutes with their look at sport for this evening. Of course, Wayne Cunningham and Gregory will be up in a few minutes. So thank you for viewing. I'm John Victor saying take care, and we'll see you around for another program.